Nancy, we need to talk. The words hit me like ice water. I'd just walked through the front door of my childhood home, keys still jingling in my hand, when I saw them all sitting there, my entire family, arranged around the dining room table like some twisted intervention. My name is Nancy, and I'm 33 years old. I've been the responsible one in this family since I was 12. The one who remembers birthdays, organises holidays, drives Dad to his dialysis appointments every Tuesday and Thursday. The one who fixes everyone's problems while they pretend I don't exist until they need something. But today, something was different. Very different. Mum sat rigid in her chair, tissues clutched in her fist. Dad's face was stone, that familiar look of disappointment I'd seen 1,000 times, usually directed at someone else. And there was Yvonne, my 28-year-old sister, mascara streaked down her cheeks like she'd been crying for hours. "Sit down," Dad said. His voice carried that tone, the one that meant someone was about to get destroyed. I stayed standing. "What's going on?" $47,000, he said slowly, is missing from my account. My stomach dropped. What? When? Don't play dumb with us, Nancy. Mum's voice cracked. We know it was you. The room started spinning. I'm sorry, what? Yvonne looked up at me with those big brown eyes that had gotten her out of trouble since we were kids. I saw the transaction, Nancy, on Dad's computer. It was your name on the transfer. That's impossible. I set my purse down carefully, trying to keep my hands steady. I don't even have access to Dad's account. You helped him set up online banking last year, Mum said. You know his passwords. I helped him set it up, yes. That doesn't mean The money's gone, Nancy. Dad's voice was flat. Final. Transferred out 3 days ago. Your name was on the authorization. I stared at them. At these people who were supposed to know me better than anyone. You actually think I would steal from you? The evidence is right there, Yvonne whispered, fresh tears rolling down her face. I didn't want to believe it either, but what? Show me this evidence. Dad shook his head. We've seen enough. No, seriously, show me. Because I want to see exactly what you think proves I stole nearly $50,000 from my own father. Don't raise your voice at us, Mom snapped. We're the victims here. I laughed. Actually laughed. I'm raising my voice? I walk into my family home and get accused of theft, and you're worried about my tone? Just admit it, Yvonne said softly. Please. This is tearing the family apart. I'm not admitting to something I didn't do. I looked around the table at each of them. This is insane. You're all insane. The bank records don't lie, Dad said. Then let me see them. No. Why not? Because we don't need to prove anything to you, Mum said. We know what happened. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Something final. You've already decided. The money is gone, Nancy, Dad said. It was there Monday morning. Gone by Wednesday? You were here Tuesday helping me with the computer? I was here helping you pay your bills, like I do every week, like I've done for 2 years. And you took advantage of that trust, Mum said. I looked at Yvonne, really looked at her. She was still crying, but something about it felt wrong, performed. Yvonne, you swear you saw my name on a transaction? I swear, she whispered. On what? What? Swear on what? Swear on Mum's life? Swear on Dad's health? What are you swearing on? She blinked. I don't need to swear on anything. I know what I saw. Right. I picked up my purse. Well, this has been enlightening. Where are you going? Mum asked. Home. Since apparently I'm a thief and a liar, I don't think you want me here. Nancy, wait, Dad said. But his voice held no warmth, no doubt, just obligation. If you return the money, I can't return money I didn't take. Then don't come back, he said quietly. The words hung in the air like smoke. Don't come back. From the man whose life I'd been organising for years, whose medications I picked up, whose appointments I scheduled and attended and worried about at 3 a.m. Fine, I said. I walked to the door. Behind me, I heard Yvonne start crying harder, Mum comforting her. Dad's chair creaking as he probably put his head in his hands. I didn't turn around. I drove home in complete silence. No music, no phone calls. Just the sound of my own breathing and the hum of traffic. At home, I sat at my kitchen table and opened my laptop. My fingers moved automatically, navigating to my email, my bank accounts, my photo storage. I started downloading everything. Every email exchange with Dad about his finances, every screenshot I'd taken of his account when helping him, every receipt, every timestamp, every digital footprint that proved exactly where I was and what I was doing every minute of the past week. Because if my own family could look me in the eye and call me a thief, then I was going to need proof of my innocence, and I was going to need it soon. I spent the entire night organizing files, bank statements, email threads, screenshots, everything that proved I was innocent. By morning, I had a folder thick enough to choke on, but it felt pointless. They'd already made up their minds. My phone buzzed at 7 a.m., a text from Yvonne. "Hope you learned your lesson." I stared at the message for a full minute. Hope I learned my lesson? What lesson exactly? That my family would throw me under the bus without a second thought? I screenshotted the text and added it to my evidence folder. 3 days passed in silence. No calls from Mom checking if I was eating, no texts from Dad about his next appointment. Nothing. Like I'd been erased. Then my cousin Sonia called. "Nancy, what the hell happened?" "You heard? Mum told my mum you stole money from Uncle Wilfred. I told her she was crazy. I almost cried hearing someone say that. They won't even look at proof that I didn't do it. Because they don't want proof. They want a villain. And you're convenient. What's that supposed to mean? Come on, Nancy. You've been carrying this family for years. Yvonne's the princess who can do no wrong. You're the workhorse. When something goes missing, who's easier to blame? I sat down hard on my couch. I can't believe this is happening. What are you going to do? I don't know. Find a lawyer, maybe? Or, Sonia said slowly, you could do something better. Like what? Succeed without them. Make them regret ever doubting you. After we hung up, I pulled out my laptop and did something I'd been thinking about for months. I registered a business name, Hall Interior Design. I used the last of my severance pay from my old job to build a website. Basic, but professional. My phone rang while I was uploading photos of rooms I designed for friends. "Nancy Hall?" "Yes?" "This is Weston Dean. We went to college together? I saw your LinkedIn post about starting a design business." Weston. I remembered him. Architecture major. We dated briefly junior year before he transferred schools. "Hey Weston, how are you?" "Good. Really good. I run a small architecture firm now, and I've been looking for an interior designer to partner with. Your portfolio looks incredible." "Thanks. I'm just getting started though." "Everyone starts somewhere. I have 3 clients right now who need interior work. Want to grab coffee and talk?" We met the next day at a cafe downtown. Weston looked exactly the same. Tall, easy smile, the kind of guy who made you feel like everything would work out fine. "So what made you finally take the leap?" he asked. "Family drama. Sometimes you need a push." "The best kind of motivation. Spite and necessity." I laughed. "Something like that. Well, I have a client in Riverside who needs a complete home redesign. Budget's decent. You interested?" "Absolutely." We shook hands across the table. "Partners?" "Partners." That night I got another text, this time from Dad. "Your mother wants to know if you're coming to Sunday dinner." I typed and deleted a dozen responses, finally settled on no. His reply came instantly. "Thought so." I threw my phone across the room, but then I picked it up and got back to work. Posted before and after photos on Instagram, joined local Facebook groups for home renovation, started a Pinterest board. Sonia helped me set up Google Ads and showed me how to track website analytics. "You're getting traction," she said, pointing at my laptop screen. "Look at these engagement numbers. People actually care about this stuff? Nancy, you have an eye for this. You always did. Remember when you redesigned my entire apartment with stuff from thrift stores and it looked like something out of a magazine. I did remember. Yvonne had walked in that day and said it looked cheap but trying too hard. Mum had agreed. I should have started this years ago. You started when you were ready. 2 weeks later, I was measuring a client's living room when my phone buzzed. A bank alert. Account activity, Wilfred Hall, checking account ending in 4809. I'd forgotten I still got notifications from when I helped Dad set up his banking alerts. The text showed another withdrawal. $22,000. I screenshotted it immediately and sent it to Sonia. Another withdrawal from Dad's account. Same pattern as before. Her response was instant. Nancy, you've been gone for 3 weeks. How could you have taken this money? Exactly. So who did? I didn't answer, but we both knew. The golden child who'd never faced consequences for anything in her life. The sister who'd looked me in the eye and sworn she saw my name on a transaction. That evening, I scrolled through Yvonne's Instagram. New photos from last weekend. Her at some upscale restaurant. Designer handbag I'd never seen before. And in the background of one photo, a glimpse of car keys on the table. Mercedes keys. I checked the date of the photo against the date of the withdrawal. Perfect match. I saved the screenshots and added them to my growing folder. Then I opened my laptop and got back to work on my business. Because Sonia was right. Success would be the best revenge. But first, I needed to document everything. Every lie. Every theft. Every moment they chose her over the truth. When this was over, I wanted receipts. My business took off faster than I expected. The Riverside project photos went viral on Instagram. 15,000 likes and counting. Comments poured in asking about my rates, my availability, my inspiration. You're booked solid for the next 2 months, Sonia said, scrolling through my appointment calendar. And these aren't small jobs, Nancy. These are real money. I can't believe people actually want to pay me for this. Believe it. Mrs. Patterson just referred you to her entire book club. That's 12 potential clients right there. Weston walked into my new office, a small space I'd rented downtown, carrying coffee and a stack of blueprints. Ready for the Morrison project walkthrough? Born ready. We drove to the Morrison house, a sprawling ranch that needed a complete overhaul. As we measured rooms and discussed layouts, my phone kept buzzing with Instagram notifications. You should turn that off during client meetings, Weston said. I glanced at the screen. Actually, this is good. Look. I showed him the latest post, a time-lapse video of me redesigning a kitchen. 43,000 views in 6 hours. Nancy, you're becoming famous. Hardly, but it's working. That evening, I was editing photos when Sonia called. I have news. About the bank stuff. What kind of news? The kind that requires wine. Can I come over? She arrived 20 minutes later with a bottle of Pinot Grigio and her laptop. Remember how you asked me to look into those transactions? Well, I did some digging. Legal digging? Mostly legal. I work in IT, remember? I know how to trace digital footprints. She opened her laptop and pulled up a spreadsheet. Both withdrawals, the 47,000 and the 22,000, they were initiated from the same IP address. Dad's house? Yes, but here's the interesting part. The timestamps show they happened when your dad was at dialysis. I leaned forward. How do you know when he was at dialysis? Because I called the clinic, told them I was updating emergency contact information for a family member. They confirmed his appointment times. Sonia, that's brilliant, I know. But wait, there's more. She clicked to another screen. I also found something else. That IP address? It's been accessing online gambling sites, specifically a high-stakes poker app called Royal Flush. My stomach dropped. Gambling? Big time. We're talking thousands in losses over the past 6 months. Can you prove it was Yvonne? Not definitively, but the timing matches perfectly with her new lifestyle upgrades. The car, the clothes, the fancy dinners. She'd win big, spend big, lose big, then need more money. I stared at the screen. She's been stealing from Dad for months. And when you got too close to figuring it out, she threw you under the bus. I wasn't even close to figuring it out. But you handle his finances. You see his accounts. She couldn't risk you noticing the pattern. My phone buzzed. A text from Mum. Your father had a mild stroke this morning. He's stable but in the hospital. I showed Sonia the message. Are you going to go? I don't know. They made it clear I'm not welcome. Nancy, he's your dad. He's the man who called me a thief and told me not to come back. But even as I said it, I felt the familiar tug. The need to fix things, to take care of everyone, to be the responsible one. What if I went anonymously? Like, sent flowers or something? Or, Sonia said slowly, what if we use this as an opportunity? What do you mean? I mean, what if we let this play out? See what happens when you're not there to handle everything? The next morning, I drove past the hospital 3 times before finally going home. I threw myself into work instead, finishing the Morrison project ahead of schedule. Weston found me at the office at 9 p.m, still arranging furniture. Nancy, go home. I'm almost done. You've been here since 6 a.m. This isn't healthy. It's better than thinking about my family. Want to talk about it? I told him everything. The accusations, the evidence, Dad's stroke, my guilt about not visiting. You know what I think? He said when I finished. What? I think you're handling this exactly right. You're building something amazing instead of wallowing. That takes strength. It doesn't feel like strength. It feels like running away. Sometimes running towards something better is the bravest thing you can do. That night, I posted a new Instagram story. A photo of my latest design with the caption, "Sometimes the best thing that happens to you looks like the worst thing at first." The responses were immediate. Hundreds of comments from followers sharing their own stories of family betrayal, career changes, starting over. People who understood. One comment stood out. Your work is incredible. Keep building your empire. I screenshotted it and sent it to Sonia. Empire building in progress. I typed. Good, because I just found something else. Yvonne's car? It's not paid off. She's 3 payments behind. I stared at the message. 3 payments behind on a Mercedes she bought with stolen money. How long before they repossess it? 2 weeks, maybe less. I smiled for the first time in days. Karma was starting to work. 3 months had passed since the accusation. My business was thriving. I had a waiting list of clients and had just been featured in a local magazine. I was finally starting to feel like myself again. Then Sonia called at 6 a.m. Nancy, wake up, it's your dad. What happened? Massive heart attack, he's in surgery right now. I sat up in bed, instantly alert. How bad? Bad. They're saying he needs emergency bypass surgery, but there's a problem. What kind of problem? Insurance won't cover it. They're calling it elective because he missed too many follow-up appointments after his stroke. That's insane. How much are we talking? $68,000. The number hit me like a punch. Jesus. Nancy, they don't have that kind of money. Not after, after Yvonne stole it. She didn't say it, but we both knew. What's the family doing? Panicking. Your mum started a GoFundMe. Yvonne's crying on Facebook asking for prayers and donations. I closed my eyes. How long does he have? Surgery needs to happen within 48 hours. Or what? Or they'll have to discharge him and hope for the best. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen staring at my laptop. My business account showed a balance that would have seemed impossible 6 months ago. Not quite enough to cover the full surgery, but close. My phone rang. Weston. I heard about your dad. Sonia called me. I don't know what to do. Yes, you do. You're just scared to do it. Weston, they disowned me. They think I'm a thief. And now your dad might die because the real thief spent his savings. I was quiet for a long moment. What if we did it anonymously? He said. What do you mean? What if we set up the payment through your LLC? No names attached, just an anonymous donor. We? Nancy, I've seen your books. You're doing well, but $68,000 would wipe you out. I want to help. I can't ask you to. You're not asking, I'm offering. We're partners, remember? 2 hours later, we sat in the hospital billing office with a woman named Mrs. Rodriguez. You want to pay for Mr. Hall's surgery anonymously? She asked. That's right, Weston said. Wire transfer from our business account. This is very generous. May I ask your relationship to the patient? We prefer to remain anonymous, I said. Is that possible? Absolutely. We'll process the payment and notify the family that an anonymous benefactor has covered the costs. Perfect. She handed us paperwork. I signed it with shaking hands. The surgery is scheduled for this afternoon. Mrs. Rodriguez said, Mr. Hall is very lucky to have people who care about him. If only she knew. We left the hospital and drove to a coffee shop. I ordered a double espresso and tried to process what we'd just done. Any regrets? Weston asked. Ask me tomorrow. Nancy, you just saved your father's life. The same man who called you a thief and banned you from the family. I know. That's either the most generous thing I've ever seen or the most masochistic. Maybe both. My phone buzzed constantly throughout the day. Updates from Sonia about Dad's condition, screenshots of Mum's frantic Facebook posts, begging for money, photos of Yvonne looking devastated in the hospital waiting room. Then at 4 p.m, everything changed. Sonia called, breathless. Nancy, you're not going to believe this. What? Someone paid for the surgery. The whole thing. Anonymously. Really? I tried to sound surprised. The hospital just called your mum. They said a benefactor covered all the costs. Your dad's in surgery right now. That's incredible. Any idea who? None. But Nancy, your mum is calling it a miracle. She's posting about it everywhere. God sent an angel, she says. That evening, I scrolled through Mum's Facebook page, post after post about the mysterious donor, comments from friends and family calling it a blessing, a miracle, divine intervention. Yvonne had shared Mum's post with her own caption. Sometimes when everything seems hopeless, an angel appears. Daddy's surgery is fully paid for by an anonymous donor. I'm crying tears of gratitude. Faith restored. The post had hundreds of likes and comments. People calling Yvonne brave, strong, faithful, praising her for staying positive during such a difficult time. I screenshotted everything. Later that night, Weston came over with Chinese takeout. How are you feeling? Weird. Like I just gave $68,000 to people who hate me. You gave it to your father? There's a difference. Is there? Nancy, your dad is alive because of you. Whatever else happens, remember that. We ate in comfortable silence, watching the sunset through my apartment windows. The irony is perfect, though, I said finally. What do you mean? Yvonne stole the money that would have paid for this surgery. Now I'm the one saving his life, and she gets to play the grateful daughter on social media. For now. What's that supposed to mean? Weston smiled. Just that the truth has a way of coming out eventually. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thank you for saving our father. I showed Weston the message. Who's that from? I have no idea. But as I stared at the words, I realized someone in my family knew exactly who the anonymous donor was. The question was, what were they going to do about it? 2 weeks after Dad's surgery, I was reviewing client contracts when my doorbell rang. A FedEx delivery. The envelope was thick, official-looking. Return address, St. Mary's Hospital Billing Department. I tore it open, expecting some kind of receipt confirmation. Instead, I found a formal thank you letter on hospital letterhead. Dear Ms. Hall, on behalf of St. Mary's Hospital and the Hall family, we would like to express our deepest gratitude for your generous donation of $68,000 to cover Mr. Wilfred Hall's emergency cardiac surgery. My hand started shaking. They'd sent this to my home address. My name was on it, in writing. I grabbed my phone and called Sonia. They sent me a thank you letter. What? Who? The hospital. A formal letter thanking Nancy Hall for the anonymous donation. Oh shit. Yeah, oh shit. Nancy, this is actually perfect. How is this perfect? If anyone sees this, that's exactly the point. You have proof now. Physical proof that you're the one who saved your dad's life. I stared at the letter. She was right. This wasn't a mistake. This was ammunition. Sonia, remember that digital evidence you collected? The gambling records, the IP addresses, all of it? I have everything saved. Good. Because I think it's time. Time for what? Time to stop being the victim. That afternoon, I called Sterling Robertson, the family's longtime lawyer. Dad had mentioned him a few times over the years. Old friend from college. Handled their wills and estate planning. Mr. Robertson, this is Nancy Hall, Wilfred's daughter. Nancy, how are you, dear? I heard about the family troubles. That's actually why I'm calling. I need to speak with you about something important. Of course. Can you come by my office tomorrow? I'll be there. Sterling's office was exactly what I expected. Dark wood, leather chairs, law books everywhere. He was in his 60s, grey-haired, the kind of man who radiated quiet authority. Nancy, I have to say, I was surprised by your father's accusations. I've known you since you were a child. Theft doesn't seem like something you'd do. It's not, and I can prove it. I opened my folder and spread documents across his desk. Bank records, timestamps, IP logs, screenshots of Yvonne's social media posts. Sterling put on his reading glasses and studied everything carefully. This is quite thorough, he said finally. Sonia helped me compile it. She works in IT. And this shows that the transactions occurred when you weren't even present? Exactly. And look at this. I showed him Sonia's gambling site research. The same IP address that made the withdrawals was accessing high-stakes poker sites. Interesting? He flipped through more pages. Nancy, why are you showing me this now? I pulled out the hospital letter. Because of this. He read it twice. You paid for your father's surgery. Anonymously, through my business. After he accused you of theft and banned you from the family? Yes. Sterling leaned back in his chair. That's either very noble or very foolish. Maybe both. But here's the thing. I'm tired of being the scapegoat. I'm tired of Yvonne getting away with everything while I get blamed for her mistakes. What do you want me to do? I want you to investigate, officially, as the family's legal counsel. Nancy, if I find evidence that Yvonne committed theft, then you'll have done your job. He was quiet for a long moment. Your father hired me last month to look into the missing money. He wanted me to build a case against you. And I haven't found any evidence linking you to the theft. In fact, the more I dig, the more questions I have about the timeline. So investigate those questions. It could get ugly. It's already ugly. At least this way, the truth comes out. Sterling nodded slowly. I'll need copies of all this documentation. I brought copies for you. I handed him a second folder. Everything's organised by date. Nancy, there's something else you should know. Your father's been asking about you. What do you mean? He's been wondering why you haven't visited since his surgery. Your mother told him you probably feel guilty about the theft, but he seemed uncertain. Uncertain about what? About whether he made the right decision cutting you off. I stood up. Well, maybe he'll get his answers soon. Nancy, wait. If this goes the way I think it will, are you prepared for the fallout? What kind of fallout? Your sister could face criminal charges. Your parents will have to confront the fact that they wrongly accused you. This family might not survive intact. I looked at him for a long moment. Mr. Robertson, this family stopped being intact the day they chose to believe I was a thief without even asking for my side of the story. Fair enough. I headed for the door, then turned back. How long do you think your investigation will take? Give me a week, maybe 2. Perfect. That should be just enough time. For what? I smiled. For me to decide exactly how I want to handle this. As I drove home, my phone buzzed with a text from Weston. How did it go with the lawyer? Better than expected. Sterling's going to investigate officially. And then? And then we see how much my family really values the truth. Nancy, are you sure about this? I thought about Dad lying in that hospital bed, about Mum's Facebook posts, calling the anonymous donor an angel, about Yvonne's tearful gratitude, posts getting hundreds of likes. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The truth was coming out, finally, and I was going to make sure everyone heard it. Sterling called me exactly 1 week later. "Nancy, I have completed my investigation. We need to talk." "What did you find?" "Everything you suspected and more. Can you meet me at your parents' house Sunday afternoon? Around 2? "Sterling, I'm not exactly welcome there." "You will be after today. Trust me." Sunday morning, I stood in my closet for 20 minutes, trying to decide what to wear to my own vindication. I settled on a simple black dress, professional, serious, unshakable. I drove to my childhood home with a hospital letter in my purse and my phone recording everything, just in case. The front door was unlocked. I walked in without knocking. They were all in the living room. Mum in her usual chair, Dad on the couch, looking thinner but alive. Yvonne curled up on the love seat, scrolling through her phone. The silence was deafening. "Nancy!" Mum's voice was barely a whisper. "Hello, Mum." Dad struggled to sit up straighter. "What are you doing here?" "I brought you something." I pulled the hospital letter from my purse and placed it on the coffee table. Mum reached for it first. Her face went white as she read. "What is this?" Dad asked. "Read it," I said. Dad took the letter. His hands shook as he read. When he finished, he looked up at me with an expression I'd never seen before. "You're the anonymous donor?" "Yes." Yvonne looked up from her phone. "That's impossible." "You don't have that kind of money." "Actually, I do. My business has been very successful." "But why would you—" Mum started. "Why would I save the life of the man who called me a thief and banned me from the family?" I sat down across from them. "Good question." "Nancy," Dad said quietly, "I don't understand." "Which part don't you understand, Dad?" "The part where I paid for your surgery, or the part where you accused me of stealing from you?" Before anyone could answer, the front door opened. Sterling walked in carrying a briefcase. "Sterling?" Dad looked confused. "What are you doing here?" "Finishing the investigation you hired me to conduct." Sterling set his briefcase on the coffee table next to my letter. "The investigation into who stole your money." Yvonne's phone slipped from her hands. Sterling opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. "Nancy, thank you for providing such thorough documentation. It made my job much easier." "What documentation?" Mum asked. Sterling began laying out papers on the coffee table. Bank records, IP logs, screenshots, timestamps. "The documentation that proves Nancy didn't steal anything," he said. "In fact, it proves quite the opposite." Dad leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "I mean the transactions that removed $69,000 from your account were initiated from this house, but not by Nancy. They were made when Nancy was provably elsewhere, and when you, Wilfred, were at dialysis." "That's impossible," Yvonne said. Her voice was too high, too tight. "Is it?" Sterling pulled out more papers. "Because I also found evidence that the same IP address used for those transactions was regularly accessing online gambling sites. Specifically, a high-stakes poker application called Royal Flush." The room went dead silent. "Furthermore," Sterling continued, "I discovered that someone in this household has been gambling significant amounts of money over the past 8 months, winning sometimes, losing more often, and needing regular infusions of cash to cover debts." Yvonne stood up abruptly. "I don't have to listen to this." "Sit down," Dad said. His voice was steel. "Dad, you can't seriously believe—" "Sit." "Down." She sat. Sterling pulled out his phone. "I also have records of text messages between Yvonne and various creditors. Would you like me to read them aloud?" "No," Yvonne whispered. "Then perhaps you'd like to explain how you purchased a Mercedes-Benz the same week $22,000 disappeared from your father's account?" Mum gasped. "Yvonne, is this true?" Yvonne's face crumpled. "I was going to pay it back." "With what money?" Sterling asked. "Your gambling debts total over $40,000. I had a system. I was winning." "You were losing," I said quietly. "Consistently. And when you ran out of your own money, you started taking Dad's." Nancy, I never meant for you to get blamed. Yes, you did. I stood up. You saw me helping Dad with his computer and realized I'd be the perfect scapegoat, so you made sure to mention seeing my name on a transaction. That's not... Yvonne. Dad's voice cut through her protest. Did you steal from me? She looked around the room desperately. At Mum, who was crying. At Sterling, who was watching her with professional detachment. At me, standing there with my arms crossed. I was going to pay it back, she whispered. That's not what I asked. Yes, she said finally. Yes, I took the money. Dad closed his eyes. Jesus Christ! And you let me blame Nancy? I panicked. I thought if I could just win it back. You let me call my daughter a thief and throw her out of this house? Yvonne started sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Dad looked at me. Really looked at me. Nancy, Don't. I picked up my purse. Just don't. Please, let me apologize. For what? For believing I was capable of stealing from you? For not even asking for my side of the story? For telling me not to come back? I was wrong. Yes, you were. Sterling cleared his throat. There's more we need to discuss, about restitution and potential criminal charges. I headed for the door. Handle it however you want. I'm done here. Nancy, wait, Mum called. I turned back. What? The surgery. You saved his life. I know. Why? I looked at each of them, my parents, who'd chosen to believe the worst about me, and my sister, who'd let them. Because, unlike the rest of you, I actually know what family means. I walked out and didn't look back. I made it to my car before Dad caught up with me. Nancy, please, don't leave like this. I turned around. He was standing in the driveway in his slippers, still recovering from surgery, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Like what, Dad? Like someone who was falsely accused and thrown out of her own family? I know I was wrong. Do you? Do you really know? I stepped closer to him. Because 3 months ago, you looked me in the eye and called me a thief. You didn't ask questions. You didn't want to see evidence. You just decided I was guilty. Yvonne showed me the transaction. Yvonne lied to you, and you chose to believe her over me. Behind him, I could see Mom and Yvonne watching from the front window. Sterling was still inside, probably explaining legal consequences. Nancy, I'm sorry. I'm so damn sorry. You should be. What can I do? How can I fix this? I stared at him for a long moment. You can't. Some things can't be fixed, Dad. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. You threw away 33 years of me being the reliable daughter, the one who took care of everyone, the one who never caused problems. You threw it all away because your precious Yvonne pointed a finger at me. His face crumpled. She's always been troubled. I should have known. Yes, you should have. But you didn't want to know. It was easier to blame me. Mum appeared at the front door. Nancy, please come back inside. We need to talk about this as a family. I laughed. Actually laughed. As a family? Mum, you kicked me out of this family 3 months ago. We made a mistake. No, you made a choice. There's a difference. Yvonne pushed past Mum and ran toward us, tears streaming down her face. Nancy, I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. Stop. I was going to tell them the truth, I swear. But then Dad had his heart attack, and everything got crazy. Stop talking. Please, you have to forgive me. We're sisters. No. I held up my hand. We're not sisters. Sisters don't frame each other for theft. Sisters don't let their family destroy each other over lies. Nancy, please. You want to know the really sick part, Yvonne? I still saved his life. Even after everything you did to me, I still paid for Dad's surgery. Because that's what actual family does. She was sobbing now. I know you did. That's why I texted you that night. I knew it had to be you. You texted me. The anonymous thank you message. I figured out it was you. I stared at her. And you said nothing. You let Mom post about miracles and angels while you knew the truth. I was scared. You were selfish, just like always. Dad stepped between us. Nancy, she's young. She made mistakes. Dad, She's 28 years old. She's not young, she's irresponsible, and you've been enabling it her entire life. What do you want from us? Mum called from the doorway. I looked at all three of them. My parents, who'd raised me to be responsible and trustworthy, then refused to trust me when it mattered most. My sister, who'd thrown me under the bus to save herself. I don't want anything from you, that's the point. Nancy, Dad said quietly, you're my daughter. You'll always be my daughter. Will I? Because 3 months ago you told me not to come back. You made your choice then. I was angry, I was scared about the money, and instead of talking to me, you decided I was the enemy. Sterling appeared in the doorway. Nancy, before you go, there's something else. What? Your sister owes significant money to some very unpleasant people. The gambling debts are serious. Yvonne went pale. Sterling, you can't what? Tell the truth? Nancy deserves to know everything. What kind of people? Dad asked. The kind who don't accept I'll pay you back eventually as an answer, Sterling said. The kind who've been calling the house at all hours making threats. Mum gasped. Those hang-up calls? Weren't hang-ups, Yvonne whispered. Jesus Christ, Yvonne, Dad said. How much do you owe? 43,000. The number hung in the air like a bomb. So let me get this straight, I said slowly. You stole Dad's money to pay gambling debts. When that wasn't enough, you stole more. When I got blamed and kicked out, you said nothing. And now you owe even more money to dangerous people. Nancy, I need help. No. Please. I said no, Yvonne. I'm done cleaning up your messes. But they're threatening me. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to frame me for theft. I got in my car and rolled down the window. Nancy, Dad said, I know I don't deserve it, but please, don't give up on us completely. I looked at him for a long moment. Dad, I didn't steal from you. I saved your life, and you chose to believe I was the villain in this story. I know, I was wrong. Yes, you were, and now you have to live with that. I started the engine. What happens now? Mum asked. Now you figure out how to be a family without me. Because I'm done being the one who holds everything together while getting blamed for everything that falls apart. I drove away, leaving them standing in the driveway. In my rearview mirror, I watched them get smaller and smaller until they disappeared completely, just like they'd done to me 3 months ago. The difference was, this time, I was the one choosing to leave. The awards ceremony was everything I'd dreamed of when I started my business. Crystal chandeliers, champagne, people in designer clothes talking about million-dollar renovations. I was nominated for Interior Designer of the Year, something that would have seemed impossible when I was sitting in my kitchen that first night, downloading evidence files. Nancy Hall, Hall Interior Design, the presenter announced. For her innovative use of sustainable materials and her viral social media presence that's revolutionizing how we think about accessible luxury design. I walked to the stage in a dress that cost more than my first month's rent, accepted the Crystal Trophy, and looked out at the crowd of industry professionals who now knew my name. Thank you, I said into the microphone. This award represents more than just good design. It represents what happens when you refuse to let other people's opinions define your worth. The applause was thunderous. Weston was waiting for me backstage with a huge grin. How does it feel to be officially the best interior designer in the state? Surreal. Good surreal. The after-party's starting. You ready? Actually, I need to make a call first. I stepped outside and dialed Sonia. Nancy, I saw the live stream. You won. I won. How are you feeling? Honestly? Vindicated. Good. You deserve this. Sonia, has anyone from the family reached out to you about tonight? Your mum called yesterday, asked if I knew about the ceremony. What did you tell her? I told her you were doing amazing things, and maybe she should have supported you from the beginning. I smiled. And she started crying, said she's been trying to reach you for weeks. My phone had been full of missed calls and unread texts from Mum and Dad. I'd ignored all of them. Nancy, there's something else. Yvonne moved out of state. Apparently, the people she owed money to weren't very patient. Is she safe? As far as I know, but she's gone. Probably for good. I felt something I hadn't expected. Relief. Not satisfaction, just relief that it was over. What about Mum and Dad? They're struggling. Your dad keeps asking Sterling if there's any way to make things right with you. And what does Sterling tell him? That you're not pressing charges against Yvonne, which is more grace than most people would show. But that forgiveness isn't something you can demand. It has to be earned. When I got back to the party, a woman approached me with a business card. Nancy, I'm Jennifer Martinez from Architectural Digest. We'd love to feature your story in our next issue. My story? The woman who built an empire after being wrongfully accused by her own family. It's inspiring. I don't know if I want that story public. Think about it. Your message tonight, about not letting others define your worth, that resonates with people, especially women who've been scapegoated or underestimated. She handed me her card and walked away. Weston appeared with 2 glasses of champagne. What was that about? Architectural Digest wants to do a feature story. Nancy, that's huge. I know, but it means talking about everything. The family drama, the accusations, all of it. Is that something you want to do? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Nancy, this is your father. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I saw the news about your award. I'm proud of you. I've always been proud of you. I just forgot how to show it. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed you to know. I showed Weston the message. Are you going to respond? I stared at the text for a long moment, then deleted it without replying. Nancy, he's proud of me now because I won an award. Where was that pride when I was driving him to dialysis twice a week? Where was it when I was organising his medications and managing his appointments? So that's it. You're never speaking to them again. I don't know. Maybe someday. But not because they suddenly realise I'm successful. Not because guilt is eating them alive. If it happens, it'll be because I decide I want them in my life again. And right now, I have a business to run, awards to win, and a life to live. A life where people don't assume the worst about me the moment something goes wrong. The party continued around us. People congratulating me, asking about collaborations, wanting to hire me for their projects. My phone kept buzzing with Instagram notifications. The award announcement had already gotten thousands of likes. You know what the best part is? I said to Weston. What? I used to think silence made me weak, that not fighting back, not screaming, not demanding they listen to me made me a victim. And now? Now I know silence is what you give people who never deserved a voice in your life in the first place. I raised my champagne glass. To success being the loudest revenge. To success being the loudest revenge, Weston echoed. We clinked glasses as photographers captured the moment. The interior designer who'd built an empire from betrayal, who'd learned that sometimes the best way to win is simply to stop playing other people's games. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Dad. I didn't even read it before hitting delete. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Some are meant to be burned so completely that you can't even see the smoke anymore. And sometimes, that's exactly the freedom you need to build something better.